So I guess I just want to start. I guess I should start by introducing you, Thom Geshay, president of Davidson Hospitality. But Tom, I guess the thing that's first strikes me as we start this conversation is we did this before. I remember we did the like 1 year anniversary of the pandemic conversation, and that was 2 years ago now, which is wild to think. But I do remember too that when I was doing that, I was still sequestered in the guest bedroom at my house, like where I had set up a makeshift office. It feels like it was a million years ago, and it feels like it was last week. Like I don't know if you have any different perspective on that.
Listen, I'm just thankful that we're looking at this through the rearview mirror at this point, and we're not still in the thick of it. It's always great, more fun to look back at bad events, tragic events, and sort of be right in the middle of them.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool now that you're not sequestered in your room, that we're out, and that we've met in between at conferences in person and everything else. So it feels good to be on this side of it. But to your point on this series, we should never not learn lessons when we go through something like that, and take the opportunity for the tragedy or uncertainty to learn some things about our business and do better.
Hmm. So, I mean, on the topic of learning lessons, just on a personal level, what would you think you've learned over the last 3 years? Like, what really sticks out to you?
Um, I think two things that stand out for me a lot. One is how resilient our industry is. Um, I don't want to ask for it, and I certainly don't um, like it when we have speed bumps in our industry. But I think because we're in the hospitality business and we have to react to so many things on a daily basis, to protect our team and to protect guests and everything else, because that's our business. We're sort of wired in a way that we react to crisis as well. The Gulf War was awful. The dot-com meltdown was bad. 9/11 was a horrible situation and shock. Fortunately, short-lived. GFC was longer lived, and that kind of disruption on the economy and financial markets was bad. This was a gut punch of all gut punches. Shutting down global travel entirely. Who'd ever thought that was possible? But
Hmm.
we have survived it, and here we're talking about it 3 years later. And you look at the stats, and our industry's back. There's still a ways to go in some markets for sure. Still a ways to go in some product types for sure. But man, we are a resilient industry. And I think we've reacted well to every one of the crises, and this one as well. The other thing I think that really jumps out is the value of the team. And I know it's a cliche to say that you have to have people in hospitality, but it was so gut wrenching to have to let so many team members at the property level go when our business shut down. And you recognize that those team members are family. Those team members are so important to your business, and it really makes you appreciate our business and those that are around you. We kept, as you and I have talked about, we kept our whole corporate team intact here, but and didn't let anybody go from a corporate level. But our team locked arms, and we battled through that together, and we came out stronger. So just the power of those relationships and the value of team and people, that would probably be the second big thing to learning.
So with that in mind, has the way you interacted with your people, has the way you approached leadership and just, person to person interaction, has that changed over the course of the last few years?
I I, um, I think it has. We've always been a purpose and sort of value oriented company. We've run our business by core values, and we've done that for decades, long before there were these crises involved. But I would say that being a leader today is a little different for a few reasons. It's really no longer good enough to kind of be an expert at your business, understanding your business, understanding how to run a business. That's important for sure. But there's an intersection here that has become something that all of us have had to deal with, every leader of every industry, and I think even outside hospitality, but in every business. But we have to understand that our employees and our team members' lives extend beyond work, and that things going on in the world around them and the life around them and at home impacts the way they are at work. And we've got to create an environment. I'll use the word sticky for lack of a better term, but we have to create a sticky environment where people want to be. And there was an awful lot of articles and press on the Great Resignation that sort of happened, and where people weren't really valuing. They were valuing their life and being where they wanted to be. And if work didn't intersect right with that, they would go somewhere else to find that. So leaders today, I think, have to be really cognizant of the fact of meeting employees where they are, because stress and burnout is a real thing. And you have to have a workplace that's comfortable, a place where the employees want to be, a place where they feel safe. And that's really, really important. And so, work style and life has changed. And I think leaders have to be aware of that so they know how to manage the team that's around them.
Yeah, it's interesting how, some of that seems like it should be so obvious, but for so long the idea was, if you let your mental health, if you let your personal life concerns, anything going on, if you let that impact your work life, then you're just unprofessional and not like a human being, So it's interesting now that collectively we're all recognizing, people are three-dimensional beings, not just they have to show up for work and be perfect cogs that turn the machine,
And that's a good thing, right,
Mm-hmm.
Sean? I mean, I now about to celebrate my 35th anniversary with Davidson. Been in the business a long time. It wasn't that way when I came into the industry. You were rewarded for working the longest hours. You were rewarded for pulling all-nighters. You were rewarded for, working 7 days a week. And you're right. If you let your personal life interfere, that was a big negative. But I think today we've come so far with that. I think the career in hospitality today better than it's ever been. I think the work-life balance is better than it's ever been, and we all recognize it. The pay has gotten better. I mean, a lot of things that decades ago hospitality was not known for is there today. It's a phenomenal career today. But in our business, in every business, just understanding that people do have outside lives, and then, like I said earlier, kind of meeting them where they are, having an appreciation for that. I mean, listen, I have more team members that work remotely today than ever I've had, and that's just a fact of doing business. It's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just it's a thing. And so you have to make that successful. Flex schedules, hybrid work. That's a part of everyday life, and I think it will be going forward. We have to make that work.
Mm-hmm. So has the experience of the last few years changed the way you perceive either the industry or your company specifically? Like in your mind's eye, have you shifted your point of view at all on anything?
Gosh, that's a great question. I don't know if there's anything in particular I've shifted. I'll say I have a huge appreciation for the work that we do in hospitality. Not always an easy job dealing with the public in a way that we do often, but a greater appreciation for it. This was an interesting time because we had not just the pandemic, but we also had some social disruption that happened at the same time as the pandemic. I want to say the horrible George Floyd incident, I think, was in May of 2020, while we were all sort of on lockdown. So there was a social disruption at the same time we had the economic disruption, and a lot of personal disruption. And so, a couple of things that sort of spotlighted, that I think have been real positives coming out of that is, there has been a greater focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I think that's a great thing. And the whole ESG approach to management has also taken a greater spotlight. One of our core values that we've had for years is always do what's right. And when you look at employment, when you look at hiring, when you look at equity of doing jobs, and you look at how to care for your people, your guests, your owners, your environment, all those things through the lens of how do you do what's right. I think it's a good thing. So, although it was treacherous, that's one way that I think there's a real positive or a silver lining that's come out of this, is we've got a greater focus on that inclusion in the workplace, and a greater focus on our environment, the people around us. So, I think a little positive that came from that. When we look back at this in 10 years or 20 years, that happened at this time.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to get a little weird with the next question, maybe a little hypothetical, or
I'll consider the source, Sean.
So if you could go back in time to 3 years ago, or let's say, 3 years ago in a month, so you're February 2020, what would you tell yourself? Like, what advice would you give yourself on how to deal with what was coming up?
That is a great question. I'll be honest, Sean. I don't know that I would want to know.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because I would not have believed it. I wouldn't have believed the shock. It didn't, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you can take a sophisticated world like we have and completely lock it down the way we did. It hadn't happened in any of our lifetimes. So I don't think I would have taken it seriously. I don't think I would have. Yeah. And because you can't believe it, you can't really prepare for it. It's not like a hurricane that you see coming. You got a couple of days notice. You know what to do. You start the sandbags and lock the windows and everything. In this instance, you just don't know. And so having it thrust upon you is kind of a better way to have something like this happen, because then you're in the moment, and you make the best decision you have with the information you have, and then you kind of move on. And the next day you may make an entirely different decision because you learned something that was new there. But there really is no way to wrap your head around what we went through, which gives me so much pride in the hospitality industry, because we've done so well coming out of it now, given how dreadful those first few months were. I'm really proud of how the industry responded.
I do wonder how much of that answer is motivated by, obviously I believe what you're saying, but I wonder how much of that is motivated by just not wanting to open up the thought of having to go through that again, like just let it be. We've moved on.
Probably a lot of it. The human impact of something like that is what's the hardest to wrap your head around. We have, about 14,000 employees today across our organization, all our properties and everything else. When you shut down your business, that impacts so many people's lives, and that really hurts, because as a leader of any organization, you want to do what's best for your team. You want to. You want them to advance. You want their careers to grow. You want them to provide well for their families. Our job is to create opportunities for people. Pulling the rug out from underneath them out of necessity is not what you ever want to do. So You're right. I kind of do want to just close that thought off and hopefully never have to do that again.
Yeah. It is important to remember too that when that hit, I think if I remember correctly from the last time we did a kind of retrospective on this, you were going through some personal stuff with your brother and everything, and it's a lot at once. It felt like as it was happening, it was just for all of us a lot at once. Like I remember specifically when this exact time 3 years ago, I would have been in my hometown at my grandfather's funeral, and then I get the call saying, just don't come back to the office, and then I didn't go back to the office for a year. It's wild that like life was happening while all that happened. The world stopped, but also it didn't. It's just wild to kind of digest all of that mentally.
Yeah, it's maybe the resilience of the human spirit is another great great storyline out of this, because you're right, life did not stop, and it was you didn't know if you didn't know how your business health would be, you didn't know how your personal health would be, and every night you sort of went to bed hoping that the news the next day would be better. And man, maniacally tracking everything, every word that you heard from doctors and politicians and leaders all over the place, and every research that I mean, how obsessed were you with just tracking
Yeah,
what are the
absolutely.
cases up to today? What are the deaths up to today? It was like this morbid, fixation on holy cow, what's going on, and not knowing what the next day
Yeah.
would hold. It was, just really odd,
And
really,
just
really odd.
eagerly awaiting any news about any sort of vaccine stuff so you could just get back out in the world. And then, yeah, it's just been a wild ride.
Yeah, it really has been. It really
So,
has been. And man, it's again always fun, not fun. But better to be here today, looking back at it and saying,
absolutely.
see what happened, because there was an awful lot of tragedy and loss through all of that. And again, that's the really bad remnants of it. But
Yeah.
man, how resilient people, the human spirit is, and man, the scientists that help with the vaccines and everything else. That's a really amazing. That this is going to be in history books, that our great grandkids are reading, and they won't believe the story.
Yeah.
And we had a chance to live it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a positive way to look at it. We definitely lived through history. So I just wonder, just to end this on a positive note, I mean, when you look back at the last few years, what are you really thankful for?
Gosh, there are a whole lot more things to be thankful for than feel bad for. You know, I'll start with my family. We were, when this whole thing went down, the leadership team here at Davidson, we did a call every day at 7:30 in the morning. We got on the phone every day, and the first thing we did was we talked, and we went through what happened yesterday. What do we learn today? What do we do? How do we prepare for our business? What do we do? How do we communicate with our owners? That team, having that team around me that I trusted and believed, and to get together, none of us knew what to do, and everybody responded so well. That was an unbelievable blessing. But how that impacted my family, clearly I was under a little bit of stress. Wasn't sure how the company would work out. Wasn't sure what any day would hold. So I'm sure I wasn't at my best all the time. They understood that, and they supported that, and they were really understanding of the fact that I had to work 20-hour days, 7 days a week, and they knew I was trying to make good, solid decisions for our family and for the company, and so I appreciated that. The entirety of the Davidson team, we again, at the corporate level, we kept everyone together, but it wasn't easy. There was pay cuts involved. There was a lot of stress on a lot of people, and extra work. So the work went exponential, and the pay did not. And everybody decided as a team, we're going to lock arms, make a circle, and hang in there, and we're going to get through it. And we did. And so the resilience of that team, and then our property level teams out there, in a way, they had it the worst. There was a lot of industries that just shut down and said, "Hey, we're going to close the office. No one's into the office today." Guess what? At a hotel, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Our leadership teams and team members at the hotels, they were going in every day, interacting with guests and each other in a world where we were told don't interact, and you were hoping that all the masks and sanitizer and everything else you were doing was going to keep you safe, but you didn't really know. So honestly, they got up every day, went to their hotels, and put themselves in harm's way. And sometimes even living in the hotels for periods of time. I mean, it just unbelievable amount of work and effort. And I cannot thank those folks enough for that. And then, a pretty cool thing happened during all this, Sean. I think there was this meeting of the minds between owners, brands, lenders, asset managers, management companies. It was sort of this, we're all in this together. And that doesn't always exist. And we have a special industry where my competitors are my friends and things like that. Our hospitality is cool that way. But this was a real crisis. And everybody on every side of the table got together and I think cooperated in a way that, we wouldn't be where we are today were it not for that. So really thankful for all the leaders at the brand companies, and our ownership groups and our lenders and everybody sort of got together and said, hey, we're gonna fight this together and we're on the same side. And that was really cool. That was great. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, I'm thankful for you taking the time to have this conversation with me. It's been really enlightening.
Always fun to chat with you, Sean. Thank you for the time, and hope this series is great. I'm interested to see what some other leaders say as well, because we all lived it together.